really great.
So wait, when you say different labeled women, are you more like addressing your like your accessibility needs? Is that kind of how you're labeling yourself?
Oh, so actually, my labeling so me labeling myself, I guess, or me
Mm-hmm.
referring to me being different labeled, is kind of an interesting story. Um, so the term different labeled was a term that I first heard at Barnard, actually. Um, One of the reasons I really love it, and that was how. Individuals would refer to me when I went to Barnard, um, and it was actually really transformative. It really changed my life because up until that point, I was identifying as an individual with a disability, but nobody at Barnard. I noticed within like the first 1 or 2 weeks, nobody at Barnard had referred to me as an individual with a disability, and they hadn't referred to me as being disabled in any way. They just had referred to me as having a different set of abilities. And as I went, throughout my Barnard journey, I really realized that that is true. Right, disability is a construct.
Mm-hmm.
Disability doesn't exist. Right, nobody has a disability. It's a cultural fabrication. What what is disabling is people's environments, is how we treat people and how we construct the world to disable them, not themselves. And I think the construct of disability is really interesting because I think it was, I think it's obviously very complicated, but I think it was created to make the uh, so-called individual with a disability feel that they're the one that has kind of this like personal defect, or they're the individual that is in the wrong or has something wrong with them, as opposed to the world not being accessible to them, and the world not being universally accessible. um, and realizing that has really changed the way I see the world and the way I see myself, because I really think that it's profoundly true. People's environments are disabling. They are not disabled.
Wow. Yeah, I'd
Um,
definitely be inclined to agree with that. um, with with that in mind, would you now say that you're, I don't know, like would you say that you're special in a way, or you just, would you like look at yourself as any regular person, in college? Just
So the thing about it is I think that everybody is unique and is uniquely different, and I think that it would be. I don't consider myself special in any way. I don't expect any special treatment, and I think generally speaking, ev- everybody is unique. I think my sort of my identity as a differently abled human being is like a piece of the puzzle that makes me unique. And it's one of the things that makes me unique. And it's also influenced a lot about me. I don't think it defines who I am, but I do think that it has influenced a lot of my academic work and what I plan to go into and my passions, because my passion for social justice, for uh, equity, for inclusion, for a more universally accessible world is obviously born out of experiences of not having that, and being marginalized, and feeling really held back by other people's perceptions. Because I sincerely believe that there's nothing about me that, there's really nothing I can't do. There's just the obstacles that people put in my way to get there.
There
Um,
you go.
yeah, so that's I think that's really it. So it's about understanding that I need access to certain parts of society, and I need access to certain spaces, and that it is not on me to create that access for myself. That it bequeaths society as a whole to create that access for everybody, and that it is not, if I struggle to um, do something, or if there's something that I'm really trying to achieve and I can't achieve, that's not necessarily something that demonstrates my self-worth or my you know uh, merit, but it could also be indicative of the barriers that are placed in my way. So it's been really a great journey of just like not being so hard on myself and realizing that yeah, I have some, I obviously have some responsibility for myself, but it's also time for the world to step up and be more universally accessible and recognize that everybody has different abilities. And we've just given the label disability or disabled to people who are just, um, at a more extreme point on that spectrum of different abilities, as a way to sort of disempower them. And not allowing that label to disempower me has been really great.
So, would you say Barnard has like induced this introspective experience? Like it's made you look at yourself and the others around you differently?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have like grown in leaps and bounds this year. Like what I thought before, like it's funny. I say this all the time. Um when I went to college, before I went to college, I thought that, I had at least a basic understanding of the world. And then I went to college and like my mind was blown 1,000 different ways. And I was like, whoa. Um, and it was really neat because at Barnard and at Columbia, we have a lot of reading, like lots of reading. And a lot of the times it was really hard because it requires a lot of late nights. But one of the things that was really neat is they make us read so much. And then you just like come to class and like your mind is a little blown. And then you go through the class discussion and you kind of, uh, uh, you know, solidify your opinions a bit more and understand the text a bit more. And then by the time you leave, like your head is spinning. Like you're like, oh my God, I did not know that this was the case. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And it really gives you the chance to sort of formulate your own opinions about things. Um, and I really loved it.
I feel like this year or the past year, I don't remember exactly when this happened, so I may be incorrect if you weren't there. But there was a horrible accident with one of the students that went to Barnard. She was like at a park, and then do you
Yeah.
remember this situation?
Yeah, she was a first year, and it was my first final season. It was during reading week, a first semester, um, in the fall semester, and yeah, that was really hard. That was really really tragic, and it was very very difficult to go through as a community. Everybody in the community was really affected by what had happened, uh, and it was um, it was just a really difficult, very challenging experiences. But one of the things I found comfort in was the alumni community, like the Barnard alumni community, like really stepped up, and I feel was like really there for the first years. Um, and so, in a time that so much sadness was going around, there was, at least some comfort to some extent. So, um, Yeah, it was not that was not uh,
A
that
pleasant
was really
experience.
sad. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was really sad.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But to those who I don't know if Milik is aware of this, but
I
maybe
have no
some listeners.
clue. I'm sorry.
So basically, there was this girl at or Selise, do you want to explain it, or would you
um,
like me to? That's a,
sure, I can explain it. One of our fellow first years, um, by the name of Tessa Majors, was stabbed in Morningside Park on December the 11th, I believe was the day. And she was fatally stabbed in Morningside Park, which is a park right next to campus. Um, and so it was really, really tragic, and it was something I had never experienced losing a classmate before, and it was really kind of a process of grieving as a community.
Hmm. Sorry to hear. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know about that, but that's insane. Wow.
yeah, and that park is like such a nice area. I mean, Columbia itself, like as soon as you go on the other side of Broadway, which is like the street that separates Barnard and Columbia, like Barnard itself has like such a nice, quaint campus. It's more
Yeah.
of a modernistic Columbia, if you will, because it has like
Mhm.
really funky architecture that makes it look new, and then there's like nature with like a green vine building. It's just
Yeah.
really it's really nice in general.
Yeah, it's a really like it's a great mix of like scenic, um, old kind of quaintness to it and a modernity to it as well. I really love that too.
That's cool. And then, so with that being